그날 무슨 일이 일어났던 거지?
So basically, this movie, I don't know if the trailer, I feel like doesn't really dive at all into what the movie's actually like about. It seems like because there's just like so much that happens, and then it was like Korean horror, so like there was like a lot. There was a lot to like take in because their stuff is actually really suspenseful and puts you on the edge of your seat, whereas like I feel like American horror doesn't. I don't know. Or it doesn't do it as well, in my opinion. I'm not sure if you agree or if anybody agrees, but like, uh, there were definitely points in this movie that were had you at the edge of your seat, and like it would set you up for something that like would freak you out, but like it wouldn't end up actually happening. And I think it does that like pretty good. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Um,
can agree with that. It's more like where I feel like the American one does more like just sudden jump scares. It doesn't really build you up as much, it just kind of jumps out. And this one kind of has a slow, tense build up, and then, yep, nope, never mind, not happening.
yeah. So this is our first discussion, and I feel like we picked kind of a hard movie here to like discuss because like so much happens in it. But I want to welcome everyone in and hope that everybody's having a good Saturday. A Tale of Two Sisters. I feel like I don't know if if that's a movie that's like been seen by a lot of Americans at least. I feel like we had The Uninvited, and I thought The Uninvited was like its own thing. I went for the longest time without knowing what like without knowing that it didn't like A Tale of Two Sisters was something that it was inspired by. I feel like so much happened in it that I'm still kind of like wondering how it like ended and stuff. And obviously, really quick, like there's going to be spoilers for this movie. So if you would like to see it and you haven't seen it, I wouldn't recommend hanging out because we're definitely going to spoil it and discuss a lot of things that we liked or didn't like about the film. So yeah.
Like, I agree with what you said. It was kind of hard to pin down exact details in some of it.
So from what I remember, because we just watched this, I think we watched this last week. So from what I remember, the movie opens with like this girl who is in a like mental institution, and she talks to her doctor for a little bit, and then it cuts to a scene of like um, her being driven home, and she's with her father and her sister, right? And so after that, they arrive at the house, and her sister do kind of like play along for a little bit before play outside before entering the house, and their stepmom greets them and is like, welcome in, like you guys have, you've grown, blah blah blah, like it's nice to see you guys back. And she goes to lean over to like touch the younger sister. I still am not sure on whether or not like what the age difference is between the sisters. I don't know if that was that explained. Do you know?
It really wasn't. It wasn't even alluded to really. It just kind of left that out there for the viewers to decide, I think, but I never really did elaborate on the ages very much.
Yeah. I okay. So, I think what I'll do is I guess we'll do like they were both kind of in a situation where they seemed like they were trying to protect each other. Um, and the stepmom leaned forward to touch one of them, and they kind of both like pulled back and tensed up. And at that moment, I immediately was like, okay, so this stepmom like is has clearly done something to them or caused them some sort of harm to make them feel like they have to tense up or step back, or like they were holding hands at the time too, so they kind of like squeezed each other's hands as well. So I was like, okay, so clearly like this isn't a person that is necessarily a positive influence in their life. Like she's definitely antagonistic. um but we'll see how the movie goes. I don't know. How did you feel about that, Shmatty?
Felt the same way. I kind of alluded to there being something more. I don't want to use the term sinister because it didn't seem that bad at first. but it seemed more like something they didn't really like about her, and they didn't trust her with getting close to them, so they, backed away from her when she walked towards them.
Right, right. Yeah, so like I felt like I'm in the same boat with it being like it didn't really feel sinister. If we're speaking on the characters, like what were your initial thoughts on I believe the stepmom's name. I'm gonna okay, so I'm probably gonna butcher these names. And I hate that so much, but I'm gonna try my best. So Yoon Ju is the stepmom. Like what were your initial thoughts on her?
Yeah. My thoughts on her were that she she wasn't really there. I don't want to say there for them, but she had ulterior motives to being with the family, and I don't think the daughters were as much of a part of what she was wanting to do to being there than just being with the father was, in my opinion.
Um, yeah, I initially, hmm, what are my thoughts like initially? Like I, I felt like she was definitely possibly like abusive to them for them to like step back and kind of like not feel at ease with her because like they were definitely super tensed up. So I don't know, like I definitely felt like something was weird, and there was like a scene where like she's walking through the hallway and this camera's like following her and she looks like she's on a mission. And then like the dinner scene where like she was kind of tense with the daughters as or the sisters as well, so it was like I don't know, like she doesn't seem like the best person. She doesn't seem like the best person. And then like if we're gonna go from like the stepmom, we do get introduced to the dad. I feel like we got introduced to the dad at the dinner scene. I'm not 1,000% sure. I can't remember if he pops up like before that at all, but the dinner scene kind of happens early on. So like they're just having dinner and they're sitting and like talking a little bit, and the the dad at some point gives the mom this like pill, but he doesn't say much, and like throughout the movie it just doesn't seem like he does much. Like he's kind of just there. Like did you feel like he was going to be like that the whole movie, or like did you feel like he would end up stepping in um if anybody needed anything? Like he just, in my opinion, just felt like he was there, like he just
Yeah,
existed.
yeah, like he wasn't really a major part of it, bringing the story forward. He was
Did you
just
get it
kind of there
louder
as
than
like
you?
a
Oh, thanks, Sam. Is
body to fill a spot there. I felt like he was going to be a little more
that better?
involved throughout the movie than he actually ended up being, but that's probably one of the problems watching the American one first and then this one because in the yeah. So I was really surprised that he was just kind of sitting back the whole time and letting things play out the way he did.
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of felt the same way. So she ends up being
Yeah,
abusive to her, and I think she tells her dad at some point too, and the dad's still just kind of like
brushes
there.
it off.
Like,
Yeah, like
yeah, he just like brushes everything off. And like, there's a reason as to why he brushes everything off. But like, I think initially, like, while you're watching, it's kind of just like, dude, this woman is not treating your kids right. Like, what are you doing? Why are you just sitting there letting everything happen? Why are you not stepping in? Why are you not like being a better person to your kids? And I think that Sumi actually mentioned that like, you could have been a better father, and he was just like letting it happen. He wasn't um actually like, I don't know, taking responsibility for like what was happening around his house. And he just seemed absent as a person, as a father. I don't know. But it was really interesting to like watch that because it's like, homie, your daughters need your help. Your
yeah,
wife,
it's
your wife probably needs help too. Like, you're not doing anything.
yeah. I mean, the least you can do is try to mediate something going on here. Be involved. I
um,
mean, if you care about all three of these people the way you should, that why are you just letting it all happen and not trying to either get to the bottom of the problem or at least try to get them to open up about what's going on?
it seemed like he also rarely listened to, I want to say he like rarely listened to Sumi as well. So I just felt like she was trying to like do everything on her own, like protect her younger sister, stand up against her stepmom. Like she was just doing everything on her own, and like I could see why she had that like pent up like anger or whatever, because it, like, I don't know, it seemed like she definitely, like, there was definitely tension between her and her dad. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know, it seemed real tense between the whole family, honestly, but especially between her and her dad, in my opinion.
It's like there was
Sorry, I'm trying to play music as well, so that it's
no,
not
when I was
super
watching, I
quiet.
felt there was nowhere she felt she could go that was less tense and where she had to keep her guard up the whole time. So she it felt like she might not even wanted to be there, except for her sister, to keep her safe.
I wish, I kind of wish we could have gotten a little more from the father, like, even with the like twist that was revealed, which we'll probably just like jump to, because like a lot of the stuff that happens around the house is like super sinister, and like, you know, the girls are scared by like this, you want to say entity, I don't know, wait,
Yeah, that's
entity.
the word I was. Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
kind of the word I was thinking when I was watching. It was like, what is this entity doing? Like, what's the meaning of this? What's its purpose there?
yeah, so there's this like entity, then you like later find out that like there was something going on with like their mom, I think, kind of helped contribute to like some of the fears they had, or contributed to like things that they were seeing around the house, or contributed to um
Their lack of trust with the stepmother too. I feel a little bit.
yeah, like clearly, like obviously, like they very much loved their mom and didn't like this new person that stepped in to like take their mom's place. um and they like saw things, they would hear things, they even like would look for ways in which they would look for ways to contact their mom, which is like so scary to me. Like that idea is so horrifying to me. Like, nah, man, let the dead rest in peace, please. Like, please don't bring them back, spirit
Yeah,
or
like
otherwise.
yeah, and you don't even know if it would be the actual mother coming back. Like it,
Exactly. Like it definitely freaks me out a little bit. Which like kind of segues into the next like question here is like, how did you feel about the intense moments that everyone went through? I feel like, so like, I again, like, I don't think that there were many like jump scares. Like, the movie didn't rely on jump scares at all, but there were definitely some really 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 intense moments that like made you feel like there would have been a jump scare. But like, were there any scenes that like you felt like were kind of intense?
yeah, the when the entity was, if I recall correctly, when they were crawling on the floor towards one of the daughters,
Yeah.
it was like, so what? This looks really creepy to not be some kind of sinister meaning behind it. Why are they doing this?
Yeah.
And the other part was closer to the end of the movie when the wardrobe fell and they got stuck there.
Oh yeah
That
yeah yeah yeah.
and since again this is going to be a pretty big spoiler here, but the when the mother had killed herself in it supposedly, and one of the
Supposedly.
daughters was yeah, and one of the daughters found her and was trying to save her, and the wardrobe fell on her with the mother's dead body right in front of her, almost laying on her, and that would have been like that would have
That
been the worst thing to have happen,
Yeah,
you know.
so what ends up, I'm gonna just explain that scene a little further. So again, like, something happens with the mom. The mom was sick, and stepmom, the stepmom was her nurse. So I feel like you guys could gather what was happening there, why the dad ends up with the stepmom. But the mom was sick. The stepmom ended up being like her nurse and was like taking care of her and stuff. And like, if we're in this flashback, that we end up getting this flashback at the end of the movie that kind of explains another major spoiler, the whole movie, the younger sister is not actually there. Like, remember how at the beginning I mentioned that the one sister was in a mental institution? She had like conjured up like the idea of her sister, like her sister was never dead. But in the flashback, the younger sister had woken up, went to her wardrobe, opened it, and her mom was like hanging like in the wardrobe. And so she's freaking out, obviously, like, it makes sense. She's freaking out and it's just like, yo, like, what's going on? Wake up, wake up. And as she's like shaking her mom, the wardrobe does fall over onto her, like on top of her. And the obviously like that situation with like the mom is horrifying in itself, but I think I personally think that being trapped under the wardrobe was like that was a lot. That was kind of I can understand why that was a super intense scene. I don't think I thought of that initially, but it definitely is because you're trapped there with nowhere to go. There's just this person is no longer alive also on top of you, and like you're asking for help and you're not getting the help. So it was definitely a very intense scene. And I think what made it even more tense was what happened after that, Schmatty, with the family.
Yeah,
So
and how like the stepmother was hearing it and not
everyone,
going to, yeah, it, well,
everyone,
especially everyone, but
everyone heard it.
and the stepmother was seemed to be closest to the where it happened, and they're just walking around pretending like nothing happened. It seemed
Yeah.
like
So
how do you not investigate that loud of a sound in
yeah,
the house that you're in?
yeah. So they didn't. They took forever to go investigate what happened. Like I feel like if you hear something pretty drastic, like thump on the floor upstairs or whatever, they're gonna go investigate it. And everybody just kind of looked up at the ceiling and stood there and didn't investigate it. And then like the stepmom decides, at the time she's not the stepmom, she's the nurse, but like she goes up the steps and she looks, she sees that this wardrobe has fallen on top of this girl, and she just kind of looks at it, backs out of the room, and ignores it. So like it's kind of crazy because it's like, well, damn, like, did the mom actually hang herself? Or was this something that you wanted to happen so you could just, like, swoop in, you know? Like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
like that's kind of the feeling I thought too. Like,
Yeah. And it's like,
the,
I don't know, go ahead, go ahead.
and they made it seem like you didn't know what. At least the way I felt when I was watching the movie was they made it so you couldn't tell if the stepmother was actually behind any of it or it just happened to happen or go that way, and she was just oddly in the same wrong place, the wrong time with not investigating it. Like it made it seem like to me they wanted you to not be able to tell which side of that to go on with how she was involved.
That's a really interesting take because I definitely thought. So, I personally felt like. I mean, but there's no way that she would have known that the girl was gonna
Daughter
go
would
and
have,
see her mom
yeah,
and like had that happen, you know what I mean? But I'm thinking she had, we don't know for sure, but I'm thinking that she had something to do with their mom's death because of the fact that like she was having an affair with their dad, like or their dad was having an affair with her. So like I feel like she had something to do with the mom, but like
I
they do
did.
kind of leave it for the viewer to like guess what happened. Like, did the mom, because the mom was really sick, so it's like, was she tired of, you know, living like this, or did she know about the affair and she couldn't handle it, or whatever? But my thing was, why did she go to her daughter's wardrobe and like do it there?
Yeah,
You wouldn't want your
okay.
daughters to find you. So I really think that the nurse had something to do with it.
I do too. Like, and the nurse would know that, giving the mother's illness, she could do this to her and then use that. Well, she was just tired of living with the pain she was living with, so she
Yeah,
ended it herself. But
yeah.
because I honestly think that the stepmother was involved too. But
Hmm.
I also feel like the way that they set up the movie was everybody's got a different perspective of it, so they might have a different thought of
Yeah.
who was involved and what happened.
You know what's really interesting is we still don't know about the dad, because the dad, even in the flashback, just seemed like he was just there. Like, he didn't. I don't think that that man did much the whole movie. Now that I'm thinking
No,
about
like
it, like,
I don't recall hearing him say more than 8 words.
yeah, like
Like,
I think. I think the only thing I really remember is, so we did kind of skip through the movie, but like so long story short, we've already like named the main spoiler, but another spoiler is, again, the older sister was in a mental institution. She conjured up her sister in her mind like her sister wasn't dead. She also imagined herself as the stepmother. So throughout the entirety of the movie, it's literally just her and her father, which is why her father doesn't seem like he's doing much, because like it's literally just those two. Like, but she has in her head like the, what's the word, the she can't think of the word that I would use to like explain the sister and the stepmom's appearance or whatever. But
The lack of his attention to them when they're around him. It
our,
was, yeah.
like it makes sense when you go back, yeah. But this like at the end, like I think the most he ever like said throughout that entire movie was when he was calling to like get her put back into the mental institution. So like I don't know, man. Thank you so much for the follow, KWR550. Welcome in, welcome in. But yeah, like she I don't know, that the sister, I think the reveal that the sister was picturing herself as the stepmom the whole time, like it feels like I kind of took that as she was trying to relive through, like she hadn't removed herself from the past, like she was still living in the past, you know what I mean? Like she hadn't moved on from what had happened.
Yeah, like that was her kind of way of coping with not being there after it happened, and two,
Yeah,
having knowing it happened and not being able to help.
right,
So it
yeah.
was her way of
Kronos, welcome
getting
in.
through and coming to terms with it, which still probably never
But
really
I'm just
happened.
like, yeah, I was like, I don't think she ever actually came to terms with it. Like she ended up getting put back into the mental institution.
Yeah, and which I honestly feel was better for her at the end, since she was going through all that, and then
Yeah,
when like throughout the whole movie, I don't want to say pretending to be the stepmother and the other sister, but
yeah.
imagining them
I
all there interacting like that was,
yeah,
yeah.
that was a lot. And again, there was that scene where the dad was giving the pill to the stepmom. So he was actually giving the pill to his daughter, I think. Like, because the
Yeah,
stepmom wasn't actually there. I don't know.
and
It's so
and
wild.
yeah, and like the way I kind of what's the word I'm looking for, perceived that was the daughter's way of acting like, well, I don't have a problem. It's the stepmother's got the
It's the
problem.
stepmom.
Why did I go and she's the one taking the medicine when
Yeah,
it was still her all along?
yeah. So that's another really interesting take too, because it's just like, Dad, why aren't you listening to me? Like this woman that you're married to is kind of crazy. She's abusing me and my sister, but like they were never actually there. But my
Yeah,
thing
and
is, I think another question I had though was, do you think that it ended up getting to the point where the dad did marry this woman? Or like, do you think that this woman actually abused these girls? Or do you think that she created this sort of antagonist? Do you think that the older sister created this sort of antagonist in her head and played all of this stuff back in her head because she had so much hate for her because of what she had done to the family?
I honestly think it was a mix of both. Like
Yeah.
she wasn't as bad as the daughter made her out to be, but she wasn't as good as she should have been either, I don't think.
Yeah, my girl.
And
No, I don't think that. I mean, I don't
yeah,
know. I don't think she was. I'm just trying to think. I don't think that she was
okay.
necessarily good. I don't think that she was good. I think she tried to act like she was, like act like nothing was going on, act like everything was normal or whatever. But like she literally, she was taking care of this woman, and then she was with that woman's husband behind her back, and then I feel like she didn't. From the little snippet that we got, I feel like she had some sort of passive aggressiveness to the daughters, because we got a scene with her interacting with both the daughters. So each daughter kind of had a scene with her in the flashback. One being, she kind of took the food away from the younger sister, or like she didn't really say anything to her, but then the conversation she had with the older sister, she was just like kind of a just a little bit. And so I
like
don't know.
like you could definitely tell she didn't like them,
Yeah.
but she wasn't gonna go out of her way to be nice to them. But and I know she was definitely I don't want to say the bad one in it, but she definitely had other motives besides just taking care of the kids.
Oh,
Like I
sure.
feel like she wanted them out of the picture.
Oh, absolutely. She was taking care
Like
of the mom though. Like I don't. Was she there for the kids too? I thought she was just the nurse.
no, I mean
Dude.
she was the nurse, but after becoming like more romantically involved with the father,
Oh, yeah.
she didn't want the kids around as like she might not have wanted them dead, but she didn't
Hmm.
want them there.
That makes sense.
And then once one of them died, they're kind of like, well, that took care of one, I guess. Now the other one's at a mental institution.
That
So
took care of one, I guess.
yeah, which is definitely not a good thought to have, but
Yeah.
that wasn't her motive from the beginning. It was just her motive to get him out of the picture somehow.
Yeah. I don't know. This is such an interesting. I don't know. I feel like this movie has still like my mind boggled. Like there were more twists, and we're gonna do a comparison on The Uninvited and A Tale of Two Sisters at some point. But I feel like with The Uninvited, there was just that one twist, and it was like cool. Like that's really interesting. That's a cool take. But A Tale of Two Sisters was just a lot. It felt like there was definitely more than one twist, at least more than one twist than we thought of, and like I still am like sitting here thinking about it because there's still like I don't know, I still have questions.
Oh, yeah, I definitely still have some questions about it. Like there were so many twists, I didn't know which way it was going after they were done.
Oh yeah, it was definitely not predictable, but in a good way. In a good way. I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah, like they kept you guessing the whole time. Like I'll be out. Like in the beginning, I at first thought with how again this kind of goes back how the other one was, but with how the daughter, the older daughter, was talking to the younger one, and the mother was talking to the younger one. I thought, wait, are more than one of them like dead here? What happened? Like, why are they all able to talk to each other when, again, knowing how the other one
Oh
went?
yeah. Wait, because we had a couple of different theories, didn't we?
Yeah, like I remember throughout the whole movie, like I got this theory, but now this one's kind of taking a hit, but now I've got this one instead.
Dude!
And it's,
Yeah, and then like I feel like our theories were like partially correct. None of them were actually correct. Because my first theory was hold on, wait. Hold on. Because I wrote it down. Okay, so I definitely thought that I keep forgetting Soo-yeon was dead. I kept thinking she was dead because I was going off of The Uninvited. Like, hey, this is what happened here. It's clearly what's gonna happen here. No, that's not how that went. But I was like, oh, she's definitely dead. Like, and she's just Sumi is the one that's like conjuring her up in her head, right? And then I was like, but the mom can see both of them, so like that kind of like debunks my theory. I don't understand. Unless like she was taking the medicine because like she could see things that maybe nobody else can see. Like I don't know, because the dad just didn't seem like he was interacting with anybody. You know what I mean? So that
yeah.
was like my first theory, and like again, like partially correct, partially correct.
Yeah, and like another one that I even thought was, now what if the some of the like the incidents that happened with the daughter that saw the like the entity or whatever was going on.
Yeah.
Now, was that all in her head too, or is there actually something haunting the house as well as her
Dude,
seeing these
yeah.
things?
Okay, because yes, like because there were so many scenes where we got these entities, and so like,
Yeah, and
I was
like
like,
how
is
often
the
did she?
house?
Yeah, like how often did she project something that looks like that out there? All she did was project her daughter, her sister, and the stepmother. She
Yeah,
never did project anything that was. So was that actually something trying to warn her about something? Was that something
right.
actually in the house?
I don't even know if I thought about that. That is a pretty interesting theory. Because like the house definitely could have seemed like it was haunted, for sure. Because we got at least 3 or 4 different instances of them being messed with by the entity, which I'm just gonna call it the entity. I don't really know what else. Their mom? I don't know. Like I don't know what else to
Yeah,
call
like
it. But yeah, there was. I just thought of 2 more intense scenes too. Dealing like in terms of dealing with the entity, it was literally the scene where the oh gosh, I can't remember which sister was like in the bed by herself, and she thought that the stepmom was walking around. But she was like getting into like she looked up at her door as it was slowly creaking open, and she got freaked out, so she hid herself under the covers, and the camera is literally just focused on her. It's focused on her, and it doesn't move at all, but it's focused on her and her fear. So I think that does a really good job at like evoking fear out of like the viewer as well, because it's like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? Is it gonna be a jump scare? Is it, you know, is something gonna happen to the sister? Like, am I prepared for what's about to happen next? And then she like looks up and like nothing's there. But it's like between the music, the way that it was shot, the fear coming from the actor, like the actress did a really good job, like making herself scared of like something that wasn't even there.
yeah.
And I was like, oh gosh, like that was so intense. I didn't like it because I was in my seat, kind of like, yo, am I preparing myself for a jump scare? Because you know, anything that's horror related and it's not American, that shit's actually kind of scary. Like, what's about to happen here?
Yeah,
Um,
like there was another part when one of the daughters was in the kitchen
mhm.
and they dropped something and I think it went underneath some of the one of the like
No, hold on.
like the
Yeah, I think you're also mixing it up with the uninvited. I don't think she dropped anything. I think she was like
well
freaked out and she was just kind
or
of looking
yeah
around.
and
Yeah.
she looked and then she looked underneath and then I'm gonna be honest because I was watching this on my phone at the time
Oh yeah.
and when that happened sort of moved the phone away from my face expecting something to pop out and like startle something a jump scare happen and it never happened so I'm like well I all right and I moved it back close to my face and then that's when the jump scare probably would have happened
Oh
honestly
god,
normally.
yeah. That was kind of me too. Because again, like I was comparing it to the uninvited the whole time, and in the uninvited, when she's in the kitchen, she gets grabbed by something from. Does she get grabbed, or does she? I
Yeah,
can't remember if she
it's like
gets grabbed. Yeah, I think she
it's like
gets
one of
grabbed.
the kids from some other like
Yeah,
mystery that happened earlier in the movie
yeah. So
or earlier in the time of the movie.
she gets grabbed, and she just like pushes back, and I think the same thing happens here. Like, but does she?
I don't think she got
I don't
grabbed,
think
but
she got. She
something
just got
start. Yeah,
scared, right? Like she got really
yeah,
startled. Yeah, I
and
don't
then
know.
and then
That was
like and I think that part from the uninvited was kind of combined from two parts in this movie
yeah,
because when the one daughter opened the fridge and saw like the meat wrapped in some kind of paper in the fridge with blood coming out of it,
yeah,
I felt like that was kind of combined into the one part in the other one.
yeah. Okay.
So like so I can see what the scares were building up for the daughter as well, not just us watching her go through them.
Yeah, I don't
Like a
know. They were
slow build up.
tense, man. Yeah, I think that's what it is too. Like it's an actual like it's a very slow build up, but not in like the worst way possible. It's literally like a build up that just prepares you to be so scared. And in some cases, there's nothing. It's like fine, but you're freaked out. And then in other cases, it's like I was right in being freaked out. Like that was kind of scary. But like I don't know, man. I think it was done pretty well. If you want to, I don't know. It was very suspenseful. Very
Yeah,
very
it was.
suspenseful.
I think it was done very well. Like when they build up a tense scene to lead to nothing, it almost makes the one that they do build up later that actually happens worse because you still got some of that built
Yeah.
up tension from the earlier part that didn't happen.
Or even like I think uh you being like, oh well, the last time you guys had an intense scene, nothing happened. So like I'm gonna sit here and watch this, and while I'm gonna be a little cautious, maybe I don't need to build my guard up. No, you should definitely build your guard up
Yeah,
for every scene.
especially in this movie,
For,
just keep it up the entire movie. Don't even bring it down.
yeah. I was gonna say I know for if we're I don't know if you still want to talk like theories because I know you had a couple of different theories and I think I only had one more, right?
Yeah, I mean, I had one or two extra more theories. They were kind of some of them were pretty similar, but yeah, I'm good
Mm-hmm.
for talking about the theories.
Okay. Yeah. So my other theory was the stepmom was dead. Which wasn't technically right because the person that was the stepmom or the person that was like the nurse or whatever, she was alive. Like she was, I think she ended up helping get Sumi back into the mental institution near the end. Like she ended up helping the father bring her back. Everybody's seeing everyone except the dad. So it was just that theory was kind of debunked as well, especially once the reveal happened with Sumi being like act or feeling like she was the stepmom and then also like seeing her sister when none of that was true.
Yeah, like I kind of had a similar theory with like I said earlier, like who are they all like is the stepmom dead too, and she's seeing the daughter, both daughters, one alive, one dead, or and one theory even popped in my head that wasn't as prominent as the other ones,
Mm-hmm.
but with the way that dad's reacting to everybody, are they all dead and he's just the only one alive? Like
That's
he's
a
stuck
yeah.
in this house by himself, kind of
Oh
like
my god.
upset about everything that happened, and he's got no one to be around with anymore.
That would have been like the ultimate twist though.
Yeah, like
But it would have been
that.
interesting to see that though because he wasn't like as prominent of a character, so that would have been like really interesting.
Yeah, like the person you think is the not only say least important, but the least
No, he
active in the movie
wasn't that important.
is, well, yeah, but the one that's the least active in the movie is really the only actual living person that we're watching throughout the whole movie, which would have been a real interesting take on it.
Yeah. I don't know though, because how would you explain him going to pick up his daughter from the mental institution? Like, hi, I'm here to pick up blah 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 blah, and they're like, what? I don't
Yeah,
know.
like, I could think that would be him. If this was the situation, he would be going for like, I don't know, to talk to someone there about the problem he's having with being by himself and the trauma he went through, knowing that I don't know they all died or one died, one left, or both died, and the stepmother left.
Yeah.
So he was trying to kind of cope with it himself, which would have
Okay.
been. I mean, it was like I said, it was a long shot, but I still
Yeah.
that thought did pop up in my head a little bit during the movie.
Yeah. It's like really interesting though, because there were just so many things that could have played out that didn't play out. Like we obviously we so the one that the twist that surprised me that it came so early, because remember when it was discovered that oh my gosh, I keep forgetting their names. I have them like written down over here. Hold on.
Yeah, I do too. Honestly, I haven't written down too, and I keep forgetting them.
Soon Yeon. Okay, so when it was revealed that Soon Yeon was not actually alive, they revealed that like in the middle of the movie, I think, didn't they? Or like near, like a.
It, yeah, it
I
wasn't
don't
as
know.
late as I
Yeah,
expected
it
to
wasn't like
happen. So
right
that
at the end. So I was like, wait, so there's more? So it's like we got that first twist, and then there was still so much of the movie that was left. And I was like, okay, so clearly there's more here. And then they throw the twist at us. Okay, that the
yeah,
stepmom doesn't actually exist. But it's like really funny to me because so after it is revealed that Sunyeon is dead or had died, this the stepmom, or no, not the stepmom, the sister, the older sister Sumi is like going around the house. Like I don't know if she's like sleeping or dreaming or what she's doing. This whole thing still confuses me. Is she, she wakes up, walks downstairs, sees a garbage bag in the middle of the corridor or whatever. But the thing is, it was a trail of blood from her room, like to that trash bag. And she was like, oh, it's my sister. But she was also told that her sister was already dead. So what's going on? So I was like, I wasn't sure if this was a dream sequence or if things were happening like in real life. Because then, like, she finds her sister. She tries to figure everything out. But the stepmom, her name is Yoonju. I don't know if I said that at all. Yoonju ends up coming and attacking her and like beating her up, and then it gets to the point where she is literally about to literally kill her, and like the dad walks into the house, and it was just such a weird scene after it once you realize that Yoonji wasn't actually there, and Sumi was thinking that she was Yoonju. I'm doing my best with these names, guys. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best.
oh yeah, they're kind of tough to get down. Yeah,
They're a little hard. But yeah, so I'm like, I don't know if this was like a dream sequence, and then like, so like after they were like fighting, it was actually Sumi and Yuju were like fighting to the point that they were both a little bit on the bloody side. Or I don't know if it was from them they were touching the bag that had a trail of blood on it. But they were a little bit bloody. So then when Sumi is sitting in the chair as her father is like trying to talk to her and stuff, like snap her out of it, like it's Yoonju sitting there. But then like the camera does this like pan around and Yoonju is standing in the doorway, like all dressed up, like she looks professional, and she's just looking back at herself, and we were like, what the fuck? And then like as the camera pans back around to the bloodied Yoonju, it's literally Sumi. So I was like, so Sumi was thinking that she was Yoonju this whole time? So is she dreaming? But also she's covered in blood. Or not covered in blood, like there was a little bit of blood like on her. But so I'm like,
yeah,
so maybe
but
it wasn't, did she hurt herself? Like, what's happening here?
yeah, and that also reminded me of the part when remember when I think it was yeah, it had to be the older daughter. Your older daughter saw the younger daughter having that time of the month,
Oh yeah.
and all three of them had it at the same time, which was really
I'm
interesting because that, you know,
Oh, I must have
So
missed that. I think I missed that. I missed
yeah,
that.
I had to like I honestly went like had to look up some stuff on it to make sure I thought that right, and that's what I read about, and that made me think that really was weird because at first I thought I missed it too, and so I wanted to do a little bit of like backtracking with it, and
Huh.
the fact
I
that all three of them had it at the same time,
I
that's
didn't even know that. So I did remember when Yoonju was like, "Oh, you guys are both together at the same time." So I was like, "Oh, it's really interesting if the sisters caught it at the same time. That's really wild." But then like okay, so that like I guess that kind of ties in together that she literally was just I feel like that solidifies the fact that she was thinking that she was Yoonju the whole time. Like if
yeah,
they're experiencing like real life things at the same time.
how would all three of them have that happen at the same time without it being
Dude, my mind is
something more than
blown right now.
yeah? See, like I'm gonna be honest that was a feeling I had with the uninvited, but never to this level. This one
Yeah.
really outdid
Yeah.
it.
No, but yeah, this one had a lot of twists, a lot of different things um in comparison to the uninvited. Like I feel like the twist at the end, like I would still pay money to see the uninvited for the first time. But I feel like if I were to go back and rewatch A Tale of Two Sisters, it would because there was so much going on and I'm still kind of like having questions and I'm confused on things, like I am still like, yo, I could go back and watch this and it would still be like it is my second time if I go back to watch it, but like I would still feel like, okay, I'm watching this for the first time again because like what there's a lot going on and I feel like in that movie there's a lot you can miss if you look away for a second. Like
Yeah, like every time you watch it, you notice something new. So it's one of those movies that almost makes you have to rewatch it to make sure you understand everything fully to get the full feel of the movie when you're done watching it.
I'm like mind blown right now. Yeah, like I feel like there are movies that can do it right and then there's movies that do a really poor job of it and I feel like this movie did it right.
Oh yeah, this movie really knocked that out of the park with the way they kept the story moving while also going back and making you have to rethink the theories you have or well,
Yeah,
wait, what's really going on here? Like never being able to actually pin the whole plot down until the end or after multiple watches even.
I feel like this movie did a really good job at it. Like I want to go back and rewatch it. Sometimes when movies make me think too much, I don't want to go back and rewatch it, but this one I really want to go back and rewatch.
Yeah, I'm right there with you because it's it, it, with the theory thing. It made me like, well, now I want to go back and see which part of my this theory was right and then which part of this theory was right because I probably had like 4 or 5 theories that between all of them, it was probably 78% right after you combine all of them.
I don't know. We talked about like intense stuff, like some interesting scenes. I feel like we've talked a lot about the characters for sure, and the plot. We talked a lot about the plot. Okay, so we kind of touched on this a little bit, but as you guys already know, it was revealed that Sumi often imagined herself as Yoonju. So Sumi was the older sister, Yoonju was the stepmom. Why do you think that she did that? I feel like we touched on it a little bit, but I don't know if we actually like dived into it.
It was partly to make her feel like he wasn't the one that had the problem to be in the mental institution, and she was trying to like prove to herself, well, feeling that she was proving it to her father, but trying to prove it to herself that the stepmother was involved with more of the mother's problems than it was at least expected to be at the end of the movie. So I feel like it was her kind of own way of at least making herself feel less involved with the issues going on than she actually was.
Oh, that's a good point. Because the whole time she's literally trying to do everything she can to protect her sister.
Yeah, like yeah, she felt like she failed her sister. So in this process, she's like making herself feel better about the things that happened. Not that she'd feel better about them, but she wouldn't feel as to blame for what happened than that she as she did.
Yeah. Um. So, kind of elaborating on why she would feel like she is to blame. When the wardrobe fell with her mom and her sister obviously like that caused her sister's death, and when the stepmom had checked in and like didn't say anything, she stepped back out of the room, she said nothing, whatever, blah blah blah. the older sister came and she was being like bratty to the nurse. She's the nurse at the time, not the stepmom. I have to keep remembering that. But like she's being bratty to her, and the nurse is like not being okay back. And she hits her with the "You'll regret this someday." Like you'll regret like this moment someday. And it's just the fact that she was literally standing right outside the door where her sister was dying, like, and she didn't even know. She didn't even know.
Yeah.
That's the part that like got me, man. I was so messed up after watching that. I think it's so I guess like I can understand like why she would feel guilty about it and why she would want to put herself in a situation where she didn't do anything wrong. I mean, she didn't do anything wrong. Like she didn't know, but like I feel like she probably feels like she is to blame for like allowing her sister to die, quote unquote.
Yeah, like she feels like she should have and could have done more. And even though it was, I don't want to say unknown that something happened,
Yeah.
that they didn't know that's what happened because again they didn't really investigate it like I figured they should have.
Yeah.
But they so that was her kind of way of, I don't want to say shifting blame, but relieving some of the guilt she had on herself by
Mm-hmm.
creating this whole little, I don't want to say image, I guess it's image in her head that this is how it actually went, and I
Like
just
this world, like she created this world in her head. Like
yeah
scenario even like
yeah like this
yeah.
is how it actually happened, and this is why I really shouldn't feel as bad about it, even though some of it wasn't actually how it happened, and there was kind of like everybody that heard that happened were to blame for it, not just her, not just the father, not just the nurse,
Yeah.
stepmother.
So I kind of I agree a little bit with that. So I feel like she imagined herself as Yoonju because like man, I don't know. I think she really just wanted to make her out to be like the bad guy, which in my opinion, I think that Yoonju was the bad girl, bad woman, bad person. And so like I think that Sumi just wanted to like keep like having her in this position where she was just the worst possible person that her and her sister could have ever come across. And it's just like really weird because her dad was the only thing that couldn't be like controlled in the scenario. So like so the way like he wasn't reacting the way that she wanted him to react because like he was actually there, whereas Yoonju and sister's name. I can't.
Sumi.
No, Sumi's the older one, and Yoonju. Wait, Yoonju's
Yeah.
Yoonju's the stepmom, and I can't. Suyeon.
Yeah, I'm gonna butcher that name whenever I say it. I know that.
Dude, I have their names written down, and I just still can't. But I feel like she picked like she can kind of control what's happening with them. It's really interesting.
Yeah, like she's wondering, well, why won't he believe when all three of us are saying that this is, or not saying, but when there's two of us saying that this other one's the problem and he's just not believing it? Well, the other two aren't there. It's just you pretending you're three different. I don't say pretending.
Yeah.
Viewing two other people saying that one of the persons saying the same thing about the other person, then it's just not happening. He doesn't have that same thing happening to convince him that it's different.
Like I feel like I put this question on the doc, but like it takes a lot of brain power to kind of like try and figure this out. Because I guess we don't really know why she did what she did, because I feel like she even like once she got put back into the mental institution, she was like laying in her bed and she was just like smiling and stuff, wasn't she? Pretty sure she was like smiling. But yeah.
Yeah, I kind of get that feeling too. She either wanted to be out of the house because of being in the house where it happened was kind of making it worse for her, like trauma-wise. So her being back at the mental institution kind of didn't let the memory of what happened there linger as bad. I mean, she still remembered it, obviously, but not to the point where it caused all these different hallucinations, I guess might be the best term for it, to cause such a story building in her head about it. It's
I'm wondering, like, I never ended up doing more like research to kind of understand at least the ending, because I feel like the ending is what threw me for a loop, because like there's a lot happening at the end. But I wanted to like do more research on the ending to kind of try and understand it better and relieve some of the like tension I'm feeling like in my head, because like when I think about this movie. But I never ended up doing it, because remember, the nurse actually does exist in real life. And remember, she went back to the house. Like, this is another scene that I'm so confused about, and I don't know if it like really needed to be in the movie or not. I don't know what the point of it was, and I feel like this is something I really wanted to look into. But it was literally, remember, she went back to the house, and like we were making phasmophobia references the whole time
oh
because it
yeah.
seemed like a ghost was attacking her or something. I don't understand what happened there. Like, is this a dream of Sumi's? Is she just like picturing this world for this nurse? Like, does she hate her so much that she, like, I don't know. I don't know if you did more research or if you know, but I'm
Do a
still
little bit of it,
lost.
but yeah, that's why I did a little. I didn't want to look up too much. 'Cause I didn't want it to kind of influence what I thought about it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I did a little bit to kind of get a better grasp of what I did see,
Hmm.
and that's kind of what led me to believe about the house possibly one actually being haunted by
Yeah.
something,
No, I get
and
that. Yeah.
then the other part be like the daughter also saw these things, but there was also something that was actually there that kind of, I guess, attached itself to her
Hmm.
because of the trauma that she went through. I mean, they all went through it technically,
Yeah.
but she went through it the worst because she felt like she failed the sister. She didn't like the stepmother to begin with, and she lost her mother. So it kind of like fed off her negative.
Hey, yo, she just was like, I'm gonna bring all the negative vibes and it's gonna with everybody. Like, that's
Yeah,
literally that's literally what she did there. That's
it's
actually,
like well,
but I'm just like, I'm wondering if that actually happened to Yoonju though. But I
yeah,
don't
like
know.
that's the one thing that kind of threw me too was, and like I know I mentioned this about it while watching it, but like, remember that one dinner scene where they were eating and then they left somewhere.
Hmm.
What, weren't they at their house when they were eating that? Like where did they? It looked like they were going back home. At least I thought. And so where did that? What was the?
So those two people didn't. I was a little confused there too, because I don't know who those two people are. But the dad, remember, like the dad was also okay. I guess he had a couple more lines than just calling the mental institution. But remember, he was on the phone with someone. And he was like, "Hey, like, can you come to this dinner? Because like, I guess he was just having dinner. Like, technically, okay. So remember when at that dinner, Yoonju, technically she wasn't there. It was Sumi. So the whole
Yeah,
time there were just four of them, right? Right? Like the sisters were not there, but technically Sumi was there, and Yuji was not. But it was, I think, the other girl at the table was another daughter or something, and then like the boy at the table was like her boyfriend or fiance or something. I don't know. But remember when they were in the car, he was like, "I didn't want to come, but your dad wanted me to come." I don't really understand what the point of them was either.
I think I might have just had a bit of a, I would say a revelation, but what if they were doctors from the mental hospital checking up on her? Because the dad wanted them to come to see why she was acting the way she was, like talking to her sister when she wasn't there, talking to the nurse slash stepmother when she wasn't there.
Yeah, but I thought that
I
the
mean,
guy had mentioned that that the girl that he went with was the daughter of the dad. Does that make sense?
yeah, because I thought that too, but I'm trying to think, well, why would they randomly just have a third daughter thrown in there?
Yeah, I don't know. And it's, I mean, I guess like it would be kind of interesting if it was just people that were kind of evaluating Sumi, but I don't know. Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to make sense of that whole scene. Like, I just don't, because
High five.
at one point in the scene, like in that dinner scene, like the girl starts like choking like violently. Like, what was that about? Like, that whole scene was just really confusing to me.
Yeah, like was that the entity that's actually haunting the place, trying to do, or was that just something that happened and the one daughter, the daughter that was there was picturing something else happening at the same. Like, yeah, what was
I don't know. But
what
that
was
girl
what?
did. She admitted to seeing something too. So was the
Yeah,
house also haunted? Yo, this movie's so confusing.
yeah. Like, there's so many different ways it's going. I can't figure out which way to follow to figure out the answer first.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like I guess there could have been a couple of scenes that could have been omitted and the movie still would have been fine. I don't know. It definitely leaves you guessing.
When I was watching it, I felt like the movie kind of bounced around chronologically. Like, it didn't follow most of it followed a forward moving timeline, but some of it I felt like jumped past parts and then went back before it happened and then went back up to it. It felt like did did that let me go back to
I'm trying to figure out which scenes. Like I can only really think of like the end when that I can only really like picture that happening at the end, but I can't remember if it happened anywhere else in the movie for sure.
well the part that I kind of added to that for me was the dinner part because again I thought for some reason why he only had the two daughters. Why is this one talking like that? And then did they like is this a jump in the future where they're like I said moved out or something?
Oh.
But yeah, like did the
Oh my
constant
god! What if they were? Well, no, because the dad talked to them. Sorry, I'm stuck. I'm stuck. I'm trying to figure this out, dude. The dad talked to them on the phone, so like they have to be real people.
yeah, so that's why I was like, so what? So was this a time? Like that's why I was wondering, did the sudden jumps to different moments in the family's lives make it hard to tell if it was more linear than I thought it was?
Mm-hmm.
Like, was it just jumps to different times that same period, or was it actually time jumps back and forth?
I personally don't think that there were really any time jumps back and forth because we were kind of moving. So we were moving forward, right? Like the dad picked her up. He would talk to her sometimes, like barely, like he barely had a presence in the movie. He would call the people to be like, "Hey, come over for dinner." They had their dinner. Then eventually, it got to the point where he was calling to be like, "Hey, we need to admit her back into the mental institution." So I think it was moving forward. If you think about it from the perspective of it, remember it's just Sumi and the dad. That's it. Nobody else exists besides the dinner party people, but they don't matter. So like it's literally just those two people that exist. Now, if we're thinking about, Sumi, Yoonju, and Suyeon, I think was the little sister's name, I still feel like it still moved, like it still progressed in a way that it was moving forward as opposed to jumping and skipping through things. I will say it was a little bit hard to figure out how far apart things were happening from each other. Like how many days had passed or how much time had passed or whatever. But like I still think that things were moving chronologically forward. I don't feel like we got any jumps until we got to the end where, she was in the mental institution, then there was a flashback, then we were back in the present, then there was another flashback, then we were back in the present. Oh, but now we're with, the stepmom or the nurse and this is happening to her. Oh, wait, sorry, there's another flashback. I think that's when things started to get a little it is a little bit much because it kept jumping back and forth between present and past, and or future, not sure. But like I feel like the main movie progressed at a rate that like it was just going forward. That's just me though.
No, I mean I could see that. There weren't a whole lot of parts that made me question the time jumping thing, but
Mm-hmm.
for some reason that dinner part just really stood out to me. Like, who are these? Is it like is it one of the daughters that grew up? Is it? So it was hard for me to. That was the hardest part. That wasn't the sort of scary quote part for me to
Mm-hmm.
figure out was who they were and why they were involved in the movie like they were.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, another question I had actually was we've already kind of touched on was the I honestly had the confusion problem with who was older and younger too because I wrote down as was the younger daughter based on the American movie was the younger daughter the one that was alive and just imagine the older daughter or was there times the daughter was seeing her actually the ghost still lingering around the house? which I know we already touched on, but that was
Let's see.
one of the.
Just imagine by Sumi after her death, or were... Oh, that's a good question. Okay, yeah. So was Soo-yeon always imagined by Sumi after her death, or were some of the times, I guess Sumi was seeing her ghost?
Yeah, like that's what was it always just her imagining her, or was there actually times when her ghost was trying to tell her something? Like what you're thinking happened didn't happen, or something along those lines.
That's actually a really good, like, that's a good question. Cause like, but if that were also a question, why wouldn't we see her mom? You know? I mean, I guess like the mom could have moved on, and Soo-yeon didn't move on, but
Oh, that's what I think. Like the
yeah.
crawling entity thing. I think that was her mom trying to.
Oh
Because the way
my
she was
God,
stuck in the.
yeah.
Because the way she was stuck in the little wardrobe thing. Maybe
Yeah.
the way she was there, she couldn't walk right, so she just had to crawl that way because she was in the thing.
Well, there was also a scene where she was standing on the bed, so I don't know.
Yeah, like what you
But
know.
it's like, that's really interesting because if she was actually like seeing their ghosts, I don't really feel like Soo-yeon was like, I don't really know. I can't think of any time where she would have been trying to warn her about something.
Like the fact that
I don't
maybe
know.
the maybe the daughter that was stuck under the wardrobe when it fell somehow knew that the nurse slash stepmother was in the area and just didn't do anything about it. So maybe she didn't trust that the stepmother would make something else happen or allow something else happen to the other daughter. So she was there to kind of protect her, maybe.
But the stepmom wasn't real.
No, but like the daughter was, since they couldn't really communicate the normal way, the ghost of the other daughter was trying to like somehow portray a way to get her to understand that hey, don't let the stepmother, you know,
Oh, I guess like,
like keep an eye on her, since the communication was kind of hard to get across.
I don't know. I don't I don't really know if I like personally agree with that, just because like there wasn't really any way, like, the stepmom didn't really, again, like, she didn't enter the house until she like Sumi was being readmitted back into the mental institution, and by that time Soo-yeon, is that the daughter, this I'm at, I'm yeah, is by that time Soo-yeon had technically been like murdered. You know, like she was already in the plastic bag, all bloodied up and like gone. Like she was already gone from Sumi's mind. So I don't really know if there would have been a mode of communication in terms of like warning her. The only thing I could think is maybe if she was trying to get. No, I don't. I can't even say that. I was gonna say maybe she was trying to get Sumi to wake up and stop like imagining things, but I can't even say that because when the dad finally told Sumi, hey, like, she's been dead. Like, what do you mean you've been seeing and talking to her? Like, she's been dead for years, dude. Like, you okay? You good? And then, like, Suing On just didn't. It seemed like she didn't really understand that she was dead either. I don't know.
Yeah, like yeah. I mean, yeah, I can see both. It. I just kind of feel like the I've some of the things that she was saying I think were actual entities there, not just something that she was imagining. But it's hard to kind of pick out which ones were what she was imagining and which ones were
Yeah.
actually real
Yeah, no, I agree.
things.
But yeah, I think it's a really good point to like mention that like it could have also been actual ghosts. I
Yeah,
know.
like that's kind of what I like they did with this movie because it makes it so there could be so many possibilities of what was going on.
Yeah. Or it can like definitely make you really, really, really try to like figure out what was happening. I really like how the scares and shit weren't just jump scares. I hate when movies try to make you scared by just giving you jump scares. Like, no, I don't like shaking so hard that my body hurts. Like, do some suspense, like throw some suspense in there. And I feel like this movie did a great job. I think the only jump scare that I really remember is when They were in the kitchen, and the girl was under under the table or whatever, and like freaked out the stepmom. Like that's literally it. That's the only
Yeah, I
jump scare
mean,
I can remember, and I was like, that was even still done pretty well. Like it wasn't just a random jump scare. Like there was suspense leading up to it.
yeah, like they didn't just kind of have you walk around a corner and see something standing there. No,
Yeah.
I mean, even with the entity that might have been the mother standing on the bed, that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even like a jump scare. It was just kind of, whoa,
It
like,
just kind of happened. Like, whoa, this is creepy. Hello.
yeah,
Yeah. All right. I think I still want to look a little more into it, but
oh yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
So here we'll do the ending explained. It says, so I'll just read it out loud. Or wait, can I pop this up on the screen? Can I do that? I'll just read it. We can pop this up on the screen. Me and you are probably gonna be blocked out, but that's fine. So I'll pop this up here. So it literally says, A Tale of Two Sisters ends just as it begins. Sumi returns to the hospital, her disassociation a clear indicator that she has not been able to adjust to life outside, which is really interesting. So she was, I guess, just coping? I don't know, stuck in the past?
Yeah, like, yeah,
Though Yoonju promises to come visit her, which is the nurse at this point. It's not, you know, the stepmom, because I don't think that her and the dad actually like got married or whatever. I think like again, Sumi like conjured up that whole thing. So Yoonju promises to come visit her. This could not have worked out better for her. With one stepdaughter dead and the other institutionalized, oh wait, she no longer has to bear the burden of two daughters who aren't hers. But as she returns home after sending Sumi away, the house has other plans for her in the form of ghoulish spirits. Bruh. Okay, so the house was haunted. So wait, so then did Sumi actually? Okay, so I guess I thought something different. Maybe her and the father are actually together. So did we get scenes of Sumi, like actual Sumi?
yeah. See, that's what kind of threw me off with it was like, which ones were her, which ones was imagined, and which ones were,
Ah, I don't like it. I don't like it. They made this so ugh. Okay, so then let's see. So far, these entities seem to be delusions of Sumi, or even just symbolic. Sumi's disassociation of Yoonju suggests that ghosts are just things that we are trying to forget. This could represent Sumi's grief and the blame she puts on herself for Soo-yeon's death. And that's what you said. That's kind of what you said. But one of the film's final acts proves that the ghosts are very much real, so the house is haunted. After Yoonju returns to the house, she is punished for standing by while Soo-yeon died. Yoonju is resoundingly guilty of tearing this family apart, even if she did not enact the horror herself. Okay, so I guess then the ghosts are literally her. Okay, so then are the entities just like in their head? Like they just have guilt? Like they're just, it's supposed to be a representation of guilt?
yeah, like it kind of it manifested from it to be something where they physically felt affected by it
Interesting.
with the ghost thing. Yeah.
Ah. Her refusal to save Soo-yeon out of spite. Damn, she really let that girl die because... Okay. Like, that's also what gets me. Like, you really just let her die. Has echoed throughout the house, causing a tragic chain of events. Soo-yeon gets her revenge at last, unfurling herself from the cabinet and attacking her stepmother. So that was Soo-yeon. This is the act that frees Sumi from her torment. So maybe that's why she was smiling. She feels Soo-yeon's presence and can finally feel at peace. Dude.
Yeah, that does clear
Alright.
up more of it even.
That does definitely clear up the end a little bit, for sure. That's wild. That was a good movie. Okay, I would just say that.
No, that was a very good movie.
Okay. Okay. Well, I have nothing more to add. I don't know if you do.
No, not really. Just for those of you watching, I definitely recommend watching it, even though we kind of spoiled it. But it's still a good movie.
Yeah.
It's still worth a watch, regardless.
I think it's still definitely worth a watch as well. But yeah, I guess we can end it here.
Yeah. Thanks for setting it all up.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching the movie and doing this discussion with me. Definitely, it's definitely an experience. Holy crap. Okay.
It was.
Okay. So for next time, Shmati's joining as well, but we will also be having the Anxiety Society on with us. So Wednesday, this upcoming Wednesday, February 1st at 7:30 p.m. EST, we're going to be discussing Psycho from the 1960s. So for anybody who knows who Norman Bates is, we're discussing that. We have already watched the movie though. So if you guys want to watch the movie beforehand, before Wednesday, definitely feel free to do that. That way, I feel like I don't know if we explained the movie okay enough for you guys. So like, if you end up watching it beforehand, then it's like you're kind of in the loop too. I just feel really bad for people who haven't seen this and want to like watch the discussions or whatever, and they haven't seen the movie, because then we're spoiling it for one, and then for two, I don't know. Like with, for example, A Tale of Two Sisters, we're still lost on some of it. So like, I don't know if you guys were feeling lost at all while we were trying to discuss and explain it. So yeah. But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, we'll be discussing Psycho on Wednesday. And then our next discussion after Psycho is Barbarian. That movie is an example of a movie that has twists and turns that were not done well.
Yeah.
So,
to say the least.
So yeah, so if you guys, the next two are Psycho and Barbarian, if you guys want to watch those beforehand, feel completely free. But yeah, thank you guys for being here.